It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
So let's actually get into the nuts and bolts of how you
Sure.
actually set a goal. Because there are some common traits.
Yep.
This is the thing, and it's to the point that we've actually created a checklist to kind of go through to figure out how do you know if you're setting goals appropriately so that you can actually make this happen.
So there are a few sort of line items you have to think about in terms of achievable goals, because we see all the time people, frankly, they make bad goals, right? Like we see this all the time in the financial industry. Hey, what's your financial goal? I want to be wealthy.
I'll be rich.
Frankly, if we're just
I'm going to wear a shirt that says I'm rich.
we're going to be very candid with you right here. That's a pretty crummy goal. And the reason that's a crummy goal is that, one, I think it's going to be empty, but two, it's missing some of the things that are required to make a goal a good goal. Here's the first one. A goal that you set has to be specific and it has to be measurable. If you just say, I want to be wealthy, that is neither specific nor is it measurable.
Yeah, because first of all, what is rich?
Yep.
I mean, that's one of my favorite. We get a few adult beverages. I love to just ask people, hey, what do you consider wealthy? It's one of my fun little things I love to kind of talk to people about to get their worldview understanding, because it's for everybody it's a little different.
Absolutely.
So it needs to be specific, measurable. Without those two things, you don't even know where you are in the progress of reaching your goal.
That's exactly right.
And here's one, Bo, because you're a workout guy.
Yep.
They require change and work to accomplish, meaning they're not too easy.
That you can't be, and I see this all the time. Somebody's like, I want to set this goal and I want to lose a pound before the end of the year. And I'm like, oh, hey, that's awesome if you're in a place. But is that really a good goal? Or are you setting the bar so low that you're going to trip into that goal? And then we see it on the other side where we see people say, hey, I want to mount or climb Mount Everest this year. And I'm like, man, have you gone on like a walk recently? You know what I mean? So you have to make sure that you're setting your goals. They need to require change and work, because if it's not something worth doing, will you actually do it? But if it's not something attainable, are you really just setting yourself up for failure at the very beginning?
I mean, you kind of have to go with the old fable from childhood, is that you don't want it to be too easy, you don't want it to be impossible. It kind of needs to be right in that Goldilocks period there, where definitely stress it should not be easy. Make sure it's a stretch goal. You've helped me with this tremendously, Bo. Sometimes I felt like I was thinking more linear instead of exponentially, and it's kind of helped me kind of push myself further than I probably would have, my younger self would have ever imagined. They need to be time sensitive.
This is another one I think that people miss really, really often. Even if you say, hey, I want to be wealthy.
Yep.
Well, okay, great. I win, right? So one of the things I loved about your goals that you did so well is you actually put age marks. I want to make this much income by this age. I want to have this net worth by this age. When you put a timeline on it, it makes it important to you. If you know that you have a trip coming up, or you know that you're going to run a race, and you know that, hey, I'm going to run my very first half marathon and it's happening in July, you better start getting ready back in February or March, because you know that the timeline is coming up. If you just say, I have a goal, I want to run a half marathon one day. Well, yeah, you may never actually get there and you may forget about it, you may fall off. When you make it time sensitive, it makes it a priority in your life. It's no different with career achievements. It's no different with financial achievements. Make it time sensitive so it actually gets you moving towards it.
It just hit me. We didn't talk about this in pre-show prep, that my 3 goals right after graduation from college kind of respected, and you could put a check mark next to the 3 components of wealth creation. The first one, discipline. What was my first goal right out of college? One, to invest $1,000 a month. That is discipline, where you have to live on less than you make to do it. The next one, money. The component I had on that is that I wanted to have enough income coming in through, making $100,000 by the time I was 30, so that it could, through investing, turn into money that would grow. And then time was it being worth $1 million by the time I was 40 is the third component. I think that's what I'm telling you. Some of this was instinctual, but it is definitely teachable for everybody out there to know how you can actually accomplish these goals, and being specific, knowing that they're not going to be easy, making sure that they're time sensitive. This is important. And then, Bo, this is one that I think you have always been good at, because you like working out. I think that's miserable But you have to find out what you're good at and what you like.
Yeah, it has to be relevant and exciting to your life. The other day I came in, I was all hopped up, and I said, Brian, hey, you know what me and you ought to do? And I was just thinking, well, all this extra time we have.
I know what you're going to say.
We're not runners. We've never been runners. We both like to exercise, like to work out, but neither one of us love to run. It's like, hey, me and you ought to train for a 10K together. Hey, we'll just do this like couch to 10K thing, and we'll do this walk run. And you just looked at me and you said, no.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. Well, what I recognize is while that may be a goal of mine, it's neither relevant to your life nor exciting for you. So if that's a goal you set, you're probably not going to work towards that goal. Where you do have other goals, you're like, hey, I know I want to go to the gym and work out this many days a week. And you have done it for like years standing now because the outcome of that is relevant.
What I think is interesting, you can have the same goal with two different whys. Your why on exercise is you actually enjoy the hobby of exercising. The habit of exercising actually is fun for you. I am absolutely miserable exercising. My why, though, keeps me very consistent with it. And the fact that I'm having so much fun in life that if I can just give, 30 minutes or, give an hour 4 times a week towards living longer, my why drives me to do something I absolutely hate. But it definitely needs to be relevant. It needs to be exciting so that you actually stay on course. This is why we want you to understand your why, because it will be the thing that gives you the navigation, gives you the purpose to stay on course and keep fueled up. Because that's the problem with journeys of reaching goals, is that it is a long-term process. Right. And if you don't have the right fuel, if you don't have the right motivation, it could go away from you.
And then the last trait that we think make goals really, really valuable is it has to get you out of your comfort zone. If your goal is just so easily attainable and it's comfortable, it probably doesn't have some of these other points. It probably does not require you to work towards it. It probably doesn't have a time component. Make sure you have to put your feet to the fire. It may not be exciting. It's got to get you out of your comfort zone because that's where ultimately change will happen. If you have a goal to start a business, you got to walk through, okay, when are you going to start a business? Why are you going to start a business? How are you going to measure success? And is it really getting me out of my comfort zone? Is it actually something that's going to make me work hard to achieve it? Because if not, odds are it's going to be no different than a New Year's resolution. It was good for the first 2 weeks, and then it just kind of falls off.
So we've given you kind of the recipe of the right traits for your goal setting. The next thing we had was, you need to understand the difference between what are kind of one-time accomplishments versus long-term habits or ongoing things you're doing that are helping you on this journey towards reaching your goals. And you actually, we had some in pre-show planning, you brought this up. You're like, Brian, there's a completely different thought process towards getting in business school versus reaching $1 million versus you going to the gym 4 times a week or the morning spiritual side that I have. One's a habit, one's an accomplishment. You kind of need to have a healthy mix of those different things.
Yeah, and I think that what's so amazing when you come to saying this is oftentimes you can set habitual goals that move you towards whatever your long-term goal is, right? So you might say, hey, I have this goal. I want to be healthy enough that I can walk my daughter down the aisle, right? I'm just kind of making up a thing. Well, one of the ways that you're going to be able to be healthy enough to walk your daughter down the aisle is by setting a habitual goal. Hey, I'm going to exercise 3 times a week, every single week, to make sure that I stay in good health and that I stay in good shape and that I can do those sorts of things. It's amazing how those habitual goals can ultimately move towards those one-time goals. If you want to go out there and make $100,000 a year, you want to set that income goal for yourself, I bet there are habitual things you can do at your job that are going to move you towards it. Hey, once a quarter, I'm going to meet with my superior and find out what I'm doing well, what I'm doing poorly, how I can improve, how I can help the organization. It's that type of mindset that's going to ultimately allow you to move towards that milestone goal.
So we just covered how to set the goals. We even gave a checklist that you can look at of traits you need to make sure you accomplish. Now let's talk about how you actually accomplish those goals, because we've got how you set them, but now let's actually do the implementation. How does this actually happen? And I've kind of given away one because it is the theme that if I could say there's one theme that runs through all goal setting, and it is, and we talk about this on the show a lot, know your why.
It's a huge one. It's a huge one. I feel like oftentimes People miss this one because it's easy to miss. It's easy not to reflect back to. I think with fitness goals, that's all, hey, I have a goal. I want to lose 10 pounds.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
why?
The why is what's going to keep it in focus. It's going to make it, help you stay on course. It really is what also generates the fulfillment in the long term too. So just make sure you spend enough time on the why so you actually create a healthy goal in the first place. And then because that is start with the end in mind in the beginning.
Yep.
Yeah, you just said it much better. I should have gone with let you say that part of it. But that's what the why is so important. That leads to the next thing, which is the stay motivated, the fuel to goal setting.
I think one of the things you have to do is you have to figure out what is the thing that motivates you. Is it seeing progress? If you have a goal of reaching a certain net worth by a certain age, one of the things you ought to be doing is a net worth statement every single year to track, am I moving that goal? On years where you move close to that goal, that should get you excited and get you motivated. On years where maybe you had some stuff that like pulled you away from that, you got to recalibrate and think, okay, I moved 2 steps back. How do I move 3 steps forward now? Fitness goals are the same way. Personal achievement goals are the same way. You have to figure out what the thing is that keeps you motivated. A lot of folks like personal accountability. Hey, I'm going to make a goal of doing this thing, and I'm going to tell my best friend, because what I want my best friend to do is check in with me and say, hey, how's that thing going? How's it working? What are you doing? How are you working towards that? That's a great way to stay motivated.
Well, you just basically described building a support network. That's what whenever you have goal setting, it's nice if maybe you don't have enough get up and go on certain things. I mean, like I've told you guys, I hate exercising. Sure. So what I do is I do class type structures so that I know I'll work out with people so I have some accountability to actually get up, show up, and get the job done. Well, it's also, look, I think we talk about money. This is a financial show. There's a great support structure we've created. This is what I love about how organically us starting to do this show from 2006 to now 2021, it has allowed this family. I talk about you guys, the Money Guy family has now grown into its own little network, and we have the FOO.
That's right.
I mean, I have the financial order of operations. If you go to moneyguy.com/resources, you can download our 9-step. By the way, I'm scared to hold it up because somebody made fun of that. I was on the flimsiest paper that I ought to go spend a little money, put some cardstock. So it makes me cringe as I'm holding up but you can go get the digital version of this, moneyguy.com/resources. And if you need to go a step further, have some accountability, some coaching, something to help you data gather with forms, we actually have a course. And as soon as you join that course, you're actually available to join our Facebook group, the Financial Order of Operations Facebook. That is your tribe that will help you build a support network on reaching your goals.
I love it because I've seen this over and over in that Facebook group. Someone will say, hey, I couldn't talk to other people about this, but this is a financial thing I have going on. What do you other financial mutants think about? If you don't have that mechanism, that support network in your life, the FOO group might be a fantastic place for you to start.
And then the last thing we had on here was, and this reflects once again the recipe for success of wealth creation is time. You need to realize success won't happen overnight. There are so many people trying to sell you things that will tell you, hey, tomorrow if you do this, and there's also shiny new products or investments that can tell you, hey, do this and I'm going to make you rich overnight. We know it's usually not that simple.
I would go so far as to say if you set a goal that could be achieved overnight, it's probably not out of your comfort zone. It's probably not something that's going to cause work and cause change. It's probably not a good goal. So make sure that you stay aware of that and that you steer clear of that. Because if you're setting overnight goals, I don't know that unless your goal is to like wake up early in the morning to do something, it's probably not a great goal.
Well, and we know life in general as well as goal setting is not going to be a straight line endeavor.
That's right.
There's going to be lots of detours. There's going to be lots of, roadblocks that are set up. You've got to figure out how you're going to proceed through all these things. Stay focused, be motivated by your why so that you can stay on the path towards success, and just don't get discouraged, guys. Yep. These are the steps. These are the support structures that are going to help you accomplish all this. And I really do stand by the fact that I think goal setting is one of the most powerful superpowers you can have in your overall wealth creation, because it's going to check all the boxes of that simple recipe of wealth creation, which is discipline, money, time, Goal setting reflects every one of those things, but it also helps you make it measurable. It helps you make it where it's written down. All these things are such important behaviors that if you can just set yourself up and start this process, you're going to see it actually does bear fruit. It is going to be part of your success story in the long term.
Yeah, here's our commitment to you guys. You set the goals. We're going to be the team in place that's going to help load you up with the information and the knowledge to achieve those goals. If you've not gone out to our website, moneyguide.com/resources, we have all kinds of resources out there, whether it be the financial order of operations deliverable or a worksheet on does a refi make sense, or a tax guide to help you understand the complicated tax code we have in this country. Whatever resource you want, there's a chance you can go find it out on our resource page. We're going to keep showing up and loading you guys up with fantastic information so that on your journey to your goals, you're not going at it alone.
So people are like, well, what's the why? How can y'all do so much free stuff on that? Look, it's called the abundance cycle.
Yep.
If you're brand new to this, let me explain this to you. I want you to come absorb all this free information. You can be here as long as you want. I don't care if it's years, because we know that this does bear fruit. I want you to come learn, apply, grow. There will come a point in your future where you reach such a level of success that you're going to say, hey, I don't want to do this on my own.
Yep.
And that's what I love. It's kind of a pure thing in the fact that we can give you free advice because we know it comes back around through the abundance cycle. I love that. There's no catch in the fact that you could hang out for years, just learn, apply, grow, become the best version of yourself. When that happens, we know it will. We'll be waiting for you. And that's why we're going to keep creating content. We're going to keep coming out and sharing what is in our heart, what's in our minds, and then hopefully we're all going to get better, stronger, and more successful together. I'm your host, Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen, Money Guy Team.